my name's Gemma Kelly, and I am a women's wellness expert. And I've actually never done this before with the microphone and the camera. I do a lot on my social media, but lately my business is sliding more towards breathwork, and a lot of questions are coming up. So I'll just introduce myself quickly so that you know who I am. In case you don't follow me on Instagram, I have been in the women's wellness space now for 5 years. And before that, I used to work, I used to do events all over London. I was an event director. So I've done the rat race, the busy 9 to 5, except in events, it's never ever 9 to 5. And then I went through lots of battles with infertility. So that was kind of when my wellness journey began, when I started really exploring into essentially ways I could fix myself and ways I could heal myself. Then I had my kids and I decided that I wanted a bit more of a balance, and I became a women's personal trainer. And my mission was always to help women prioritize their health and their fitness. And from then I have grown. I have done courses in nutrition coaching. I'm a Pilates instructor as well. So all in all, I've probably got like more than 10,000 hours worth of experience in women's health and fitness. So breathwork has been part of my journey now for the last, I'd say, 3 years. And in those 3 years, I've racked up 1,000 hours of experience as a breathwork facilitator. I've done countless courses and then extended courses to learn more about the breath, the physiology behind the breath, the psychology behind the breath. And it's becoming clearer and clearer to me how important it is for me to understand my nervous system, particularly as a woman, a midlife woman who's going through midlife changes. And often what I was finding is when I was training my clients, when my clients would come in and see me for fitness coaching, we would often do a little bit of breathwork before we even began. And I started realizing that, hang on a minute, the key to all of this, the key to wellness, I think really begins with the breath. And I get asked a lot of questions because breathwork is becoming way more mainstream now. But there are a lot of different types of breathwork, and there's a lot of different types of facilitators, and it's still not super regulated. And so I've compiled a list of kind of questions that I've seen that have popped up. Like some of them popped up when I posted about an event I'm doing on the 4th of February in Cheltenham. Some people were asking about safety, about what type of facilitator I am. And that was really the inspiration of putting like a podcast together to talk to you guys really honestly about how breathwork can help you, how it's helped me. I'm a bit of an oversharer, so I'm going to be sharing some of my own stuff here as well. And I've put a couple of questions together. So I'm going to go through these questions. I was in a space recently. I was invited to the Zenith in Cardiff to an event all about supporting women through menopause, supporting women through this transition in life, and how we can provide platforms and how we can provide businesses to support women through this period of time. So I'm going to answer some of the questions. I was actually talking to a woman, the first woman that I met when I was doing my networking. And the first thing I said to her was, have you ever done breathwork before? And she said, no. And I said, do you know what breathwork is? And she said, no. And I thought, brilliant. I have got an opportunity here to introduce somebody to the world of breathwork. And then I can go home because my work here is done. But we had a really, really interesting chat. And what I was explaining to her is that in the way I see it and through my training, and I've been training as a breathwork facilitator for 3 years now, I've got over 1,000 hours of experience. And the way I see it is that there are 2 main types of breathwork. We have our kind of mainstream breathwork, which is more nervous system led. So understanding what's happening in the body and then bringing the breath in to adapt our emotional state by bringing consciousness to our breath. And then we have our larger experiences, our more, shall we call them transformational breathwork experiences. And these are probably the ones that you've seen on social media with people sort of, wafting energy around the place and screaming and crying. And And all of that is breath work. But I think I think we need to be really specific, and I think we need to be really clear, because I think sometimes those big experiences, particularly if they're in a group setting, can be daunting for people. And that was actually one of the questions that I wanted to answer today, because I have got an event that's coming up in Cheltenham on the 4th of February. It's a Just Breathe event, and it is a nervous system led education plus a breathwork experience. And this lady was asking whether, she was essentially saying that she wasn't sure that she was going to feel comfortable in a room full of people crying and screaming. And she's obviously heard things from other people, or she's seen something online. And I haven't met this woman. It was just a random message from somebody on Instagram. But the thing is, I have had those experiences before, and I have been in those spaces where I've been in spaces where I felt very safe. And I've also been in spaces like that when I haven't. And I had a really big realization lately, which is that what I've noticed is that breathwork is often experienced and presented in these two different ways. And it's almost like they're two kind of rival parties. And I think there's a place for both, but I just think it's really clear that as breathwork facilitators, that we're clear with that messaging so that people know what they're entering into. So to talk to you about the bigger experiences, the more transformational breathwork, probably the stuff, like I said, that pops up onto your social media with, people shaking and crying, and believe me, I've done all this. There's nothing wrong with any of that at all. Breathwork is so powerful. It can be transformational. And yes, there can be a lot of expression, and there can be crying, and there can be screaming, and there can be emotional release. So I think it's really clear. I think we really need to get clear with the messaging of what people are entering into. And I know that sometimes when we do breathwork sessions, sometimes having an air of mystery is important and can lead into the experience. But more and more, particularly as women in midlife, we are dealing with fragile nervous systems and incredibly busy people who have to, who are making time in their diary to come to an event, and then they're going home and they're caring for their children, or they're caring for their elderly loved ones, or they're going back to work again. So I think this needs to be approached with precision and with care and with consideration for people's lives. And this is what I'm trying to do with Just Breathe Breathwork is I'm trying to get the messaging really right. So when I do my breathwork events, my larger breathwork events, we don't do very much conscious connected breathwork. If we do, it's very for very short periods of time. And then it's normally followed by a large amount of time where we do some down regulation, or we do some more somatic type breathing. So I think it's really important that we get our messaging right as a breathwork facilitator. That's really important for me because I'm a women's wellness coach. I see women coming in various different states of nervous system, let's say, arousal. And we have to be aware that some people are operating from delicate systems. So bringing them into a space with hundreds of people, cracking them open like a nut, having these full experiences, and then packing them off without a community of people who really understand what they've been through is just not something that I would want for myself. And it's not something that I would want for my clients. So what I'm trying to do with Just Breathe Breathwork is to create spaces where people can come and explore breathwork. They can come and learn about their nervous system, and they can experience breathwork on a level that they feel comfortable with. So in the bigger events that I do, and the max of those is 20, the maximum number of people I will take in a breathwork session is 20 people. We don't do a lot of conscious connected breathwork. We maybe do a little bit of activation, but a lot of it is allowing people to feel into the body, feel those experiences, and then to take away these tools for afterwards so they can go home. And I do conscious connected breathwork sessions, but I will only take 10 people. And it will always be very, very clearly labeled as to what type of breathwork people are coming into. So that's what I wanted to answer back to this lady who was concerning. And in honesty, when she said that question, it's one of the best questions. Those are the questions that you should be asking before you go to any breathwork session. You should be asking questions like that. And if you have a facilitator who throws it back in your face, then they're not giving you the time and they're not giving you the space. Because if something in your nervous system is telling you that that feels dangerous, you need to listen to it. And this is the problem that we have. We are incredibly intuitive people, particularly as women. We're intuitive, but often life takes up so much space that we don't have enough presence to actually listen to our bodies and listen to our guts, to listen to what it's trying to tell us. So thank you for joining me. This is Gemma's podcast on everything to do with women's health and wellness. I hope you'll join me again. I'm going to be going into more of those questions, diving more into the world of breathwork. And if you want to hear anything more, you can follow me on Instagram at Gemma Kelly Wellness. And obviously, if you want to come and join me at a breathwork event, my next event will be in Cheltenham at Pippin Gyms on the 4th of February.